Hey everyone, this is Tracy with Color Me This. Today is episode 283. It is the Daily Color. This is clearly not either of my Daily Color books, but I just can't resist. So I thought about putting a poll up, and I thought, nope, I am just gonna do it. So my mom went through the book last night. I gave her one sticky note, and I said, Mom, can you pick your favorite? What do you think would be great to share with people for the Daily Color tomorrow? She did not follow directions. She ended up with 5 different sticky notes. I want to show you the images. Of course, we're up really close, so you're not going to see the whole images, but she even gave me these little notes. The first note was for the turtle page. We live in a community that has tortoises and turtles, and they are, I guess they are revered. All of the nature here, all of the animals are revered, but we do have people who actually track them and take care of them and kind of in their natural habitat. We have a gopher tortoise habitat, and then there's box turtles, and when you go down the trail, you'll be proud that you saw 4 turtles along your path. So turtles, she wrote, turtles are very cool. So that was the first one, but this one's kind of big. Here is the top of it. I do have a flip through of this. I did the flip through yesterday. This actually, oh, frogs are cool. I don't remember what, because the sticky note has disappeared for the turtle. So the turtle had its own little message for me. This was the very first one. She just opened it right up and went, frogs, gotta do frogs. But then when I left the book and I came back a couple of hours later to grab the book, she had not picked only one. I had given her that one orange sticky note. She made her own sticky notes. Okay, so she just wrote love for the hummingbird, which I do really like. Let's see what else she picked. She loves the owl, and she has always, since I was a kid, she has always loved owls. So I knew she would pick it. And she wrote her logic on this one. You're wise. So I thought that was cute. And then her final one, which would be a 5th one, is, of course, the pumpkin. And it says, because it is fall, is what her note says. So I decided, since this is my first ever pre-order book, and I've waited for it. I bought it, and I waited, and it came on release day. Oh, by the way, this is what my husband picked. No, honey, I'm not going to be able to do that at the Daily Color tomorrow. That will take me a month to do book, because it's a double page spread. So we're back to frogs. I am going to do the frogs, but I thought I need to do something really different and just spice it up. My very first colored pencil set, I pulled it out. I have only used these pencils to do coloring on stamped images for use in, pardon my yawn, in card making, probably 6+ years ago, and I have not used them since. So this is what we are going to use. Faber-Castell Albrecht Durer. So we've got this frog. I have a water painter. I have water. I have very delicate brushes and some paper towels. In addition, I did grab 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 Polychromos, a couple of pinks for the mushroom dots, and then the coordinating darkest colors for the palette that I am going to color with today. And we are just gonna go for it. So I'm thinking right now, depending on if this is a flop or a success that I might continue on and do the whole row. As I zoom in here, there are 3 circles. There's a frog, a snail, and a frog along the top, and this is a full-size book, so we've got issues with, I might have to fold the cover. And then the second row is snail, frog, snail. So what I think I'm going to do, I own 2 water-based watercolor pencils, Albrecht Durer, and Inktense. So I think my first row, and I have never colored in a coloring book, and I have never colored on a coloring page. So I'm assuming, I haven't even watched any videos on this. So we've got 2 greens for the frog, the light and the dark. I've noticed the font is different. I noticed this also on the Polychromos. My set is quite old, and so we've got some all caps with a funky 8200-158, and then we have a nice heavy font, upper lowercase, with just the number and minus the 8200. I'm gonna say the 8200 is probably the model that they have for the Albrecht Durer product line. So I'm going to like sketch these in. Right now I'm adding the darkest color in the shadowy areas, hoping this is going to work. It was actually sunny in here, and so I closed the curtains, and now it is very dim in here, so we will see how well I see. I do have some reading craft glasses that I may need. I'm just so excited to not be behind the curve on this book. So far, this whole year of coloring every day, I've been even, I think, Small Victories was out for 6 months or so before I even got an inkling in my head of wanting to color every day in a coloring book. I needed something to relax, and that's what I came up with. So those are my shadow bits. I realize that some people aren't going to get the book immediately, and so if I collect up, so here was my thought. I think I am going to go ahead and color all 5 of my mom's pages, because I agree with her. I love them all. And so in the rotation is Polychromos for today. So coloring all 3 of these images will take more than a day. I am technically going to use Polychromos. I am just going to also base with the Albrecht Durer. I will even go in with the fine brushes, and I haven't done anything wet in many years. So if this is a disaster, all I can say is bear with me, trying new things, old things making them new again. I just was so excited. I wanted to find a way to christen this book in a fun way, a fun and unique way. Remember, I've been coloring every single day since the end of March. The same way, rotating through my pencils. I'm on the set rotation number 5. So that's why I thought it would be fun to do something different. Somebody just drove by in a golf cart with something reflecting very brightly through my other window. Okay, so we've got a frog, and I can't wait. I could color the whole thing, but I think I want to explore what this paper is like. I was going to do a little bit of coloring on the back of the book, but I've got these two in my hand, so I can do wet on wet, tip to tip, or yeah, tip to tip. And then I am going to keep my brush somewhat dry. I have a paper towel in my hand at the ready to be able to seep up. I'm going to take a little piece so that if I want to pick it up like that, to lighten a portion of it, I can. These toes were done the opposite of what I should have done. I hope I can do this little froggy justice. Not sure how long he will take. I am not in a rush. That's my biggest thing to myself, is to enjoy the moment with you guys, get my relaxed time, though I'm not sure how relaxing something like this little challenge to myself is really going to be. It is, again, it is so dim in here, but I can see what's happening through the camera lens. Aside from the main colors, I've got a different set of greens for the foliage. And then I have blue for the sky. I have kind of a red violet. And then yellow for his body, his tummy. I'm going to clean off the green. Set these greens down. Just for giggles, I am going to grab the one. I only grabbed one burgundy. So this is the 60 set. This isn't the 120. My logic back when I first purchased these was they already go light to dark, so why would I need the full 120? Not sure how sound that reasoning was. That was my reasoning. I didn't even tell you colors, did I? This is the Red Violet 194. I believe the numbers, here's the matching Red Violet Polychromos 194. And that's in gold. The watercolor are hexagonal and they have silver. So easy to tell the difference. You can just feel them and know that they are not the Polychromos. The frog is going to dry, and then I will go in and do some adding of some darkness, some shadows. I didn't grab any of the lighter polys, I just grabbed darker ones. This mushroom sort of looks like a clamshell with this ribbon on the end, so I'm not really sure what I'm going to do with that. Okay, so let's go ahead. I've got my little piece of paper towel. I have water that I have used to change the color. I'm going to try to stay somewhat dry. And then I'm going to pull the water all the way to the little clamshell lip of the mushroom. I am going to pick up some of that. This makes me wonder if my brush has green, but this is a red violet. I was so excited I didn't even grab my swatches for these. I just pulled them out They are in a case with the Inktense that sits way under my desk. Because they've never been used. Not since they've been in this house. Okay, before I do anything more with that, it should dry. Now I could, just to show you, old school tips, I can go ahead and do solid color as my shadows. You'll see it is very wet. We have ink on both sides. I have no idea how restricted I should be on the wet because I have images to color on the other side. So I picked that up. I'm going to go ahead and take some more. And then I'm going to pick it up. It will dry. And then I can go back over with the poly. And this is all stuff I've never done. And it's getting even darker. Even you guys look pretty dim. Because the sun went down. I am going to pause and give some light because I cannot see. I'm already out of my comfort zone enough. So light would be a good thing. All right, I see a cute little frog now. I see a little light here. Picking up my brush, the aqua painter. That feels pretty good. I am going to peek at the next page. That looks good. We're not getting too carried away. I am going to go ahead and grab the yellow for the belly. I have two yellows. I'm using dark Naples ochre. Boy, that's hard to read. 184, I believe. And light cadmium yellow 105. I technically don't think I really have to use both yellows because this yellow dark Naples ochre will lighten up with the water. But there we have it. I've got them both. And then we've got these spots. And then we have the stars. I am keeping the dark in my hand. Let's go ahead and grab a piece of paper towel in case I need to suck up some of the water. I don't want to get it too wet. Hopefully I'm pretty dry. I did keep the dark so I can do a direct, see how dark that is. This is just so completely different. I thought it would be so fun. So as far as doing all 6 images not even sure how long it will take me to do. The first one, I think I'm going to stop at the first one, depending on how long it goes. I'm finished with the yellow. I am cleaning off my brush. I've got a big piece of paper towel that I'm taking this and drying the brush. In between colors. I'm just rotating a little bit to my two greens that are my foliage green, which are olive tones. I've got chromium green opaque 174. I should be giving you the light earth green yellowish 168 and chromium green opaque 174. These are interesting because all of the leaf bits are very small. So I'm going to probably just do this dark one and pull the watercolor to the edge of the leaf. I hope you guys are going to enjoy the something a little different that I am doing to christen my book. I will probably still be doing some intermixing of small. So far this particular episode takes the place of the one big episode that would have maybe happened on Saturday. I have left my poll. I have a poll up for which page. It's been a couple of days, and then I have to check to see if the winner, I say that the winner is almost decided, but then I go in and it'll be completely different. So I think it's the camping page, which I think is great. I like all three pages. And so I need to, from the knowing it's likely the camping page, I have to pick 3 sets for you guys to choose which pencil set I should use. Alright, I think we have enough green placed. It's so far the dark one. I have the light one. I dried this pretty good. I was thinking that I could have grabbed a small brush. I thought I would be more intimidated by this. I'm not overly intimidated yet. I still have the sky, in which I could totally ruin the whole thing quite easily. Back in the Wayback, if we take the Wayback Machine to my college days, I was an art major. I did do a lot of watercolor. Did watercolor in high school. I was very involved in art in high school. I won the art department award. I won an art scholarship. All of it was based on nothing colored pencils. It was all charcoal and watercolor. I think that those are very sweet. I will use those. So far, so good. All right, I want to go a little bit darker on some of the leaves. And it must be the way the sun is, because another golf cart came by and it just about blinded me as well. Hub has decided to take his recliner and move it up. He doesn't like it down here. But we still have living boxes in the living room. I have to add, this very first leaf is pretty dark. I'm going to pick up some of the wet, and then I need it to stretch. It can't be looking like a dark blob. I believe this aqua painter traveled with me everywhere I've been. It might have been in storage initially, but it is very, very old. It's probably 15, 20 years old. Old. I had newer ones in the first trailer, but lost them, and I had to pull from my old supplies. Okay, one more little, I see a leaf that I would like to darken. That's this guy right here. Just like that. There's a lot in the way I do watercolor from back in the day. A lot of adding, subtracting, until it's just right. I would like a little more dark. This could get me in trouble. Okay, I like that. I would have loved that red violet to be less violet. That is very purple. But this is what I get because I did not test the color. That's pretty dry. Because I can't wait, I want to grab. I'm going to start with that red violet and see. This is Polychromos. It is dry. It feels lovely. And now I'm actually using this part is the set that is called for on my rotation sheet for this round. So I do think all three images I will do in this manner. I have not prepared Beyond the Frog today, but I could, if I finish very quickly, I could easily go away, pick more colors. My colors are right here next to me in my favorite, very first case that I bought. It has bunnies, pink bunnies. It is a 3 pencil per slot case. Those are not my favorites, but back in the beginning I didn't know any better. Okay, so I'm doing very soft, soft, because I don't have the next lighter color for the blend of this. I just grabbed one. I grabbed the darkest. Because of these little lines, I'm going ahead and letting my work be kind of longer ovals. And I'm going the full length. Have I mentioned that I haven't picked the colors for the spots? I have a couple of colors. Pink colors. So let's try them. I don't have any pink. I have cinnamon, which is sort of salmon-y, and it is Polychromos. I didn't see a cinnamon in the wet, and this is such a small area. Let's see if I do, just for curiosity's sake. By the way, these hexagonal glossy pencils are all sticking together. I have sanguine, that is commonly used as a darker sanguine there. I am almost positive, but not 100%, that I could have a layer of the poly and still put a little wet over the top. Not quite sure, 100%. I do have, for the big stem here, this is cream. And then I do have cream for this funny ribbon. I am putting it on dry, grabbing my wet. Oh, look at that, we fell down, sorry about that. Now I'm drying it off as much as I can. I don't know if you can see it, but I am looking at the angle and I see wet. So that cream is extremely soft. I'm going to have to let that dry and I can just move on. It is looking awfully cute. Cute. I do want to, I'm going to put this back, the sanguine. Let's see, these are all sticking. It's so crazy how sticky they are. Been in the container forever. There's a burnt ochre, but I don't have the cinnamon, which is a very soft pinkish. So these are just going right back in. I will not be using them. I will just use that pink. I do have a darker. It is called Coral 131. It doesn't look like, by this tip, it has ever been sharpened. My polys were mostly used for animal and nature drawings. So there are plenty of colors that have never been sharpened. I can work with the dots because they're dry, but the stem will have to wait, which means we get to move on to the blue. The blue will be interesting. So I kind of wanted this to be somewhat bright, so I have, for the Albrecht Durer, Indenthrone blue, I believe is my darkest I have. And I have indigo. Indigo is used all the time. It's pretty short, in fact. Here's the length difference. For my dark indigo, this is my second one. I have two. So it is, I go through those quite often. And then my darkest watercolor is this Indenthrone blue 247. I also have Indenthrone blue as well, 247. This is the gold, so it is the Polychromos. But I'm going to go ahead and get started with the dry application of the Albrecht Durer. The in-between each of these leaves is going to be interesting. I probably will do a wet tip-to-tip pull of the color to put in. This is very smooth paper. It's so fun to be doing something different. I feel like a little bit of a rebel, being a little naughty. Somebody left me a comment because I was thinking of what criteria Johanna uses when she's coming up with her little doodads that she adds in to her images, and evidently she explains that in her video walkthrough, which I have not seen. I'm gonna have to go hunt that down. Okay, let's start with that. We do have the spine right here curling a little bit, so I'm pressing it down with my finger. I like that the frog looks a little watercolor-esque. Rather than really smooth, like colored pencil blending looks. I don't know what his lip color is, but I do have those two, cinnamon and coral. Alright, I've got a somewhat dry brush tip. This is again indanthrene blue, not as dark as the dark indigo is. After this all dries, I will go in with the dark indigo, which is not in my hand. I have the indanthrene in my hand in case I need it. I had one other brighter blue that I am going to not use, I think, because I really like this night sky tone blue. Okay, I'm going to come down underneath the mushroom. That little tiny extra loop on the ivy I'm going to leave. I'm not going to fill in that little hole with any pencil. See, this is where I'm saying I didn't need to buy the full 120. My theory being that the watercolor wash part gives you all of the different values of a color. Okay, for fun, this is the indanthrene. Before I call it done, I want to get in, I'm going to do a little tip wetting. And that is pretty saturated. I might have to dot that off. I don't want to risk the book buckling there if I can avoid it. I like that. So let's do that same effect over on the other side. Okay. Nice. Now let's get some of this wet. Okay, how are we doing? Time has gone by. We're at 39 minutes already. Wow. Too much talking, not enough coloring. I just was so thrilled when I got this. And my mom, she's also very supportive, and she's like right here, which was very fun. We haven't even colored together. That's the crazy thing. Too much to do, if you can believe that. Okay, so darkening in the little shadow areas. I want to get the sky done. I want it to be darker around the frog. I'm kind of patting the brush so I can control the flow. It's all dry here, so I need to kind of set the watercolor look up using this little patting motion. P-A-T-T-I-N-G. So now I'm at the dry zone. I've hit the dry. So now I've got the Indanthrene. I've decided I love it. The other color I had was very bright blue. I will get it out and let you know what the color was. And I'm going to, this is scrumbling. I am doing ovals. I don't really care how pretty it looks because I just want it light. I don't want to mark the paper with the color. These pigments feel pretty dry, almost a little bit sticky compared to the silky smooth Polychromos feel, but not bad. I've heard of people coloring with these dry, having no problems coloring with them as a dry medium and not putting any wet on them. They are literally the only, I own the Stampin' Up! Watercolor pencils, which I also love for making cards. When I used the Albrecht Durer was before I owned the Stampin' Up! Watercolor pencils. They came up with them, started selling them a couple years after I was already using these. So that's why I stopped using these, because I promoted the Stampin' Up! Brand of pencil. Now I want the edge of the circle a little bit lighter. Let's see if I can achieve that, and by the frog darker. I'll probably do the tip to tip application. The stars can be lighter. It's really just around the frog that I'm thinking dark. Fading out. Love the circle, by the way. That gives me a nice finishing point for my coloring. She has quite a few framed images in this book that are very nice for people like me who are not background people. I want to be ready with my tissue or paper towel because I want to keep it light. We're going to go over a tiny bit here. Tomorrow I'll be able to jump right into the snail, and I will have both sets of colors picked for both the frog on the far right and the snail in the middle. Yeah, this is just a very different look, isn't it? That little squiggle, I don't know, that was a very loose scrumble right there. Not bad. Okay, I am gonna grab a little bit. I'm doing a tip to tip, sorry, it was off screen, because these little bits in between each darn leaf I wonder, by allowing myself to actually use these, if I will be inclined when I do through my rotation. Oh, look at that. Pretty much done. Okay, I see a little bit, like there's white here, and I'd rather have there be a little color. So these are a re-wetting. When you activate them with water and then they dry, you reactivate them. So I reactivated that and softened that white. Right along here, this is all dry Polychromos. I'm going to go ahead with the cinnamon now. Following the lines that Johanna has given as her hint that these are to be darker, top and bottom. And then at each little curve, I'm going to add a little of the darker. So, oh, pink mouth. I don't know if that's really the color he should be, but that's what he's going to get. Pink lips. These little dots, I was going to go ahead and do gold. So I picked up the darker. This is called Coral 131. I don't know how close my Poscas are. They are in my box. I have created a box so that at any moment, if my mom needs me to watch Bubba out in the screen room or here, there's more room in the screen room. He's a really big dog. So screen room is best for him. I can just grab my box, which has my fall coloring pages, and I'm almost finished with fall coloring page number 2. So that's pretty exciting. I'm gonna grab I see these are a little too dark, so I'm going to blend them out. So we have a nice blended length of ribbon on the front of this mushroom. And that completes our daily color special surprise using coloring in a book and coloring a set of pencils. My first. We've got a day of firsts. I think his eye is fine. You could put some green if you wanted. I hope you guys like it. It looks very watercolory to me. I wanted to keep it. That's what that patting. I see. Oops, sorry about that. Being really picky. This right here needs to soften. See that? You can do a lot with watercolor. You can just work it. And of course, I'm not familiar with this particular paper. I'm used to using watercolor paper, but I think it looks pretty good. The only thing I see a little white here. I can do a little tip to tip, just a little bit here to darken these couple of squares in between the green ivy. And I am done. So do all the YouTube things, like, share, comment, consider subscribing. And we're going to do this all again tomorrow. We are going to continue on with the Polychromos with their counterpart, the Albrecht Durer. Again, my maiden voyage in my very first pre-order book, and my maiden voyage using watercolor pencils in all of my years in, well, not years, this year of actually coloring in a coloring book. I have not used the water-activated pencils that I own. I do have, before I go, Neo Color 2, Holtz Distress pencils, watercolor pencils, Albrecht Durer, and Inktense. The Inktense, I only own the 76. I have not bought the rest of the 100, mainly because again, just like the Albrecht Durer, I know that I can stretch my colors by going light to dark. So we might be seeing more of my wet mediums now that I have broken into them and used them. So join me tomorrow, or whenever you can. Come pop in and see what I'm doing in this new coloring book. I have 5 pages picked out by my mom that we shared, and I will be integrating them into the daily color rotation because I just can't resist. See you later.